Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my November TBR. So I'm going to participate in Nonfiction November. I have for the last few years. This is my fourth year of participating. Nonfiction November is a reading initiative that was started by a book olive, and it has to do with just reading more nonfiction than you normally do. So if you usually read none, you read at least one book. If you read more than that, then read a little bit more than you normally would. So I tend to read 2 to 4 titles a month. It's about average for me. So Nonfiction November is usually when I read almost all nonfiction during the month. So that's what I'm probably going to do. I have one fiction book I might read later, but I'm not going to put on my TBR because I'm not sure I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to pick all the nonfiction because this is what I do in November. Anyway, so there are 4 prompts. You do not have to follow the prompts. I usually use them just loosely to get myself started, and then usually I go all over the place after I've started reading in November, so it's kind of fun. But the prompts this year are time, movement, buzz, and discovery. So they're just one-word prompts, and you can choose to use them in any way you want to. So I have just over 20 books here that I want to show you. For some of the prompts, I have more than others. Some of them have more than others, but it's more just I have an option. So I want to show you what my options in my TBR are. So let's start with prompt number 1 is time. And so I have one with a time on it, which is 5th Avenue, 5 a.m. Audrey Hepburn, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and The Dawn of the Modern Woman by Sam Wasson. So I could read that. I know it's about her and Capote and some other things. I don't know. I have 1916, Global History by Keith Jeffrey, which is, again, talking about all the things that happened in 1916 with the World War and other things throughout the world. I have The Witches, Salem, 1692, History by Stacy Schriff. So this, again, is a history on the Salem witch trials, but it has a time on there. 1066, The Year of the Conquest by David Holworth, I think that's what it said. So this is like from 1977, so I got this really old copy, but it's pretty short about the conquest. Yeah. And then I have 1492, New Revelations of the Americas Before Columbus by Charles C. Mann. I've heard really good things about this one. I have the audiobook for this one. So, and if I have an audiobook for one, I will mention it because I might listen to that by audio, even though I have a physical. Anyway, but I've heard really good things about this one, so I would like to try to get to that one. And then I also have a different kind of time. So I have Doing Time, which is The Sun Does Shine by Anthony Ray Hinton. This is How I Found Life, Freedom, and Justice. This is was someone who was in prison, falsely accused for decades on death row, and he is featured as one of the people in Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson, which I really found very powerful last year, one of my favorite books of the year. So I wanted to read his memoir. So that's a different kind of time, but it fits. Anyway, so number 2 is movement. So I have several different kinds of movement. First, I have the romantic movement, or Romantic Outlaws, The Extraordinary Lives of Mary Wollstonecraft and Mary Shelley by Charlotte Gordon. So again, Mary Shelley was married to Percy Shelley and knew Byron and some other people who were in the romantic movement. So I thought that was close enough. This is supposed to be a group read with Kate Howe. I can't remember who else was reading this, but so I'm probably going to join in, I think. I already started it. I started the audiobook in May, but then it just got too much to listen to it while I was working from home. So at the time, so I got about 110 pages in. So I'm partway in, but I'm probably going to try to finish that this month. So another one for movement is the autobiography of Malcolm X as told to Alex Haley. So I have this one on audio as well. I have the new Lawrence Fishburne version. So I want to listen to that. So this, of course, is the growth of the Black Muslim movement. And again, I don't know a lot about Malcolm X. I feel like it's one of those blind spots I've had in stuff I've read. So I want to know more about him. And then another kind of movement, I went with the disease movement. Anyway, which is The Ghost Map, the story of London's most terrifying epidemic and how it changed science, cities, and the modern world by Stephen Johnson. So I picked this up just kind of on a whim a couple years ago. And meant to get to it. And it has to do with I think it's a doctor, but he figures out how to find out where the cholera outbreak in 1854, where it's traveling by using a map and tracking where people are and where things, how things are happening. So I think it's something that we use nowadays for pandemics. Anyway, but it is a book I've been wanting to get to, and I love map books anyway. And then I have 4 books that are movement as in the sea, or connected to the sea somehow. So this one also kind of has a religious movement, which is the Mayflower by Nathaniel Pilbrick. It has to do with the Pilgrims and traveling for the Plymouth colony and on the Mayflower. So it's movement on the sea across. I also have another of Nathaniel Pilbrick's books, In the Heart of the Sea, The Tragedy of the Whaling Ship Essex. So again, I've read several books by him, and I have these 2 still in my TBR that I would like to get to before I borrow some more from my dad. But this one has to do with a ship, I don't remember what the year, 1819, where a whaling ship goes, I think is destroyed by a whale, and then they're shipwrecked. So I have not seen the movie, I've not seen a lot on this, but I do have an audio book of this as well. So hopefully I'm gonna get to that one. And then I have 2 that are kind of more islands, but has to do, they're in the sea, they're isolated, so I don't know. This one's called Sea Room by Adam Nicholson. A story of 1 man, 3 islands, and 500,000 puffins. So I think he's off the coast. Oh, I can't remember which it's in, I don't remember. It's off the Shetlands, I think. No, I don't remember where it is. But he inherits 3 islands from his dad, and they have a lot of puffins on it, but not very many people. And so it just sounds interesting. It's by the water, which is ocean. I don't know. And then the other one is Waterfalls of Stars by Roxanne Alexander, My 10 Years on the Island of Skomer. Sorry. And again, this is about a woman and her partner who become wardens for this island, where they stay there all the time, but they're very remote and not very many people will go there, I guess. So again, it's more movement in the ocean. I don't know. That's my connection to it, but I would like to get to those. Number 3 is Buzz. So I could have picked a book that was buzzed as in everybody's talking about it kind of buzz, but I didn't have any books like that. I mean, again, some of these might be in it, but I just didn't use it that way. I used it mostly for buzzing as in birds and bees. So there's a little stretch on the bird part, but I got too many books for nature when I bought for Springathon, which they better bring back Springathon next year because I have a lot of books to read. So a couple of them I have is Crow Country by Mark Crocker, which I think he follows these crows, frogs, rooks and other ones in this area, somewhere in England. The Running Sky by Tim D, which is talking about a lot of different birds and stuff across different countries. So I think like I think he follows the birds that travel to Africa and back. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember. I also have The Forest Unseen, A Year's Watch in Nature by David George Haskell. So this one is about a square meter of old forest that he watches for a year, and his what's there, what vegetation, what animals, and all that kind of stuff. So I think I tried to read this last year and didn't get to it. So I'd like to try to get to that. So there'd be animals in that one. I have A Buzz in the Meadow by Dave Golson. I read A Sting in the Tail earlier this year for Springathon. And I really wanted to pick up this one because this is about the 33 acres he bought in France and how he was returning it to nature and that process and stuff. So I was kind of looking forward to that. And then, of course, there's Buzz, which matches the prompt, which is by Thor Hansen. And this is The Nature and Necessity of Bees. Again, I read A Sting in the Tail, which is more European-centric, and I thought this is the American one, and I thought it sounded good, and I think a book Olive, I think she recommended that one. Anyway, and then I have 3 I have under Discover, and then again I have a couple that kind of fit under that, so they're kind of, but let's do the 3 first. So for Discovery, I have The Fossil Hunter by Shelley Emling. So this is about Mary Anning, who discovered a lot of fossils of prehistoric animals and stuff on the coast of England. I think it's Lyme, but I can't remember. I don't remember what town she's in. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to this. I've read a lot of novels in the last 2 years that mentioned her as a kind of, one of them as a character, but as, you know, just kind of mentioned her kind of briefly. So I kind of want to read more on her. Another one for Discovery is For the Love of Europe, My Favorite Places, People, and Stories by Rick Steves. So I like Rick Steves, and I love watching his travel show on our public broadcasting. And so I haven't watched any recently because, you know, there's no traveling. Anyway, but I have some old DVDs of his I watch sometimes when I'm wanting to go to Europe. And I like his books. His books come out like as in their travel guides, like they're that slick paper, but they're really pretty. And it again, it's talking about his favorite places in Europe and how he grew to love certain areas because he has traveled so much. And again, I've read his book Travel as a Political Act, and that was so good. But that was much more political. But this is much more for the area, just to discover like Europe a little bit more. And I haven't traveled enough in Europe, so I would really like to do that at some point when we're all done with the COVID stuff. And the sun is really shining here. Sorry, guys. And then the last one I have is for sure on the Discovery is The Great Influenza, the Story of the Deadliest Pandemic in History by John M. Barry. This is one I have on audio as well. So this one I put in Discovery because I don't know a lot about the the pandemic 100 years ago. And with all the stuff we're going through, I wanted to know more about this. And this is the one I picked up. I know there's like several options, but this is the one I got. I think Doris at All the Books had raved about it, and so I'd gotten it then, and then I got it from an audiobook just recently. So I will probably listen to that, hopefully. But those are those. And then I have, as I said, 4 books that are not really Discovery, but they're ones I want to read. So I don't know. One I've had on my list a couple times this year that I want to get to is Out of Africa by Karen Bilnex. This is her pen name was Isaac Denison. I think that's Denison. Anyway, so again, Out of Africa, and the movie came out. But this is about her time on a coffee plantation or farm in Africa. So and it's her memoir. And again, I read about this in Ernest Hemingway's A Movable Feast because I think he encouraged her to write it, or I can't remember if he encouraged her to write it or he edited it or something. He did something with it. Anyway, but I do want to get to that, and I've had it all year. I would like to Notes on a Foreign Country, An American Abroad in Post-American War by Susie Hansen. I picked this up, I think last year, or earlier this year. I can't remember. I think last year, and I was going to read it last year and I didn't get to it. So this has to do with a woman who is a reporter. It's her memoir of time when she was in Istanbul when the 9/11 attacks happened, and it's her view of what it was like there, and when she traveled to some other places, I think around like the Arab world and stuff in that, or she reported on that stuff for the magazine that she works for. So anyway, I don't know, it sounded good. I have one, so The Lonely City by Olivia Lang, Adventures in the Art of Being Alone. So I got this a couple years ago, and I meant to read it last year. Clearly I tabbed it because I was going to do it, and I just don't do very well with that sometimes when I do that stuff. Clearly, both of the ones I tabbed up for last year didn't happen. But this one, I'm kind of on the fence about because I haven't liked any of her fiction. Like, I've tried it from the library and just not gotten into it. But this one is about her living in New York in her mid-30s, and I think she's on her own for some, So, the thing is, I've moved many times in my life, being single by myself. And so I kind of want to see what she says, but I'm also kind of skeptical about how this will go. So maybe I had the wrong impression of that book, but I don't know. I still want to try it. And then the last one is one I should have read like probably 2 years ago when I bought this, and my dad said he wanted to borrow it after me. So I need to read this year. So I don't know what category. If you tell me what category I should put this under. But this is Liar, Temptress, Soldier, Spy, Four Women Undercover in the Civil War by Karen Abbott. So this is really the only one that's on my TBR. Like this is the only one I'm putting on my list that this one I want to get done because I want to be able to give this back to, or my dad borrowed. I think we might even share bought this. I can't really remember what we did. But I told him I'd give it to him after I was done. So again, it's about 4 women during the Civil War, and they're, how they all helped in different ways. And it's history on these women during that time period. And so I guess I could go for time or discovery because it's something new. I don't know. So anyway, those are all the books that are potentials for me to read for Nonfiction November. I'm only putting the one on my book for sure on my TBR. I don't know. I'm hoping to get to a lot of these, but I don't know how my time will go. We'll see what happens. So if there's anything in here you think I should, definitely bump up to maybe make it to the top of the list, let me know. And I will, let me know if you guys are doing Nonfiction November, because this is really, again, one of my favorite months of the year. So I will see you guys later. Bye.